Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Gulfstream Park, beautiful Gulfstream Park, and to Gulfstream today. And it is day one of the spring-summer meeting, and I'm joined by Abby Fuller, one of my favorite people here at the racetrack, former world-class jockey. We'll tell you more about that a little later on. A former host at Suffolk Downs, a handicapper at Suffolk Downs, and does a fantastic job in the mornings here for our Gulfstream Park breakfast each and every Saturday. I'm honored to have you on the stage with me.
Ronnie, I'm honored to get a chance to work with you. I think we're going to have fun, and to be working for Gulfstream Park, we both know that's a great job to have.
It's a great job to have, and as I mentioned, day one of the spring-summer meeting. We have an 8-race card. We got a fast main track, firm turf course today, and we're going to take a look at our betting strategies today. What we have a nice carryover in the Super High Five this afternoon, which starts in race number one. $6,000 plus, almost $7,000 in that pool. And when there's money in that pool, boy, do they bet that. Then right after that, of course, we got a really nice, we got the early pick 5 in race number 1 this afternoon. We follow that with the Rainbow 6, and look at that carryover to start the week off, $253,000. We'll tell you more about that when we get to race 3. And of course, we're ending the day with our late pick 5, which starts in race number 4 with this 8-race card. So a fast main track, firm turf course. Should we get right to it?
We should. Kind of an interesting number of turf races on today.
Yeah. I mean, it should be a fun day. The weather seems to be not as hot as it normally is.
Beautiful.
We had on Saturday was at least 4,000 degrees, it seemed like.
It seemed that way.
What a fun day it was. So we're going to start in the first race on the turf, and this one is a 5-furlong turf event. Maiden claim is 3-year-olds and upward. And if you look on the board right now, a couple of horses vying for favoritism very early in the wagering, and that is the 7 Cantrell and the number 2 Honorable Daniel. I started with the 7 Cantrell, and I'll tell you why. This one had a little bit of trouble at the gate, hopped at the start, then went up and chased some really fast fractions. 21-4, 44-4, finished 4th as the favorite at this level of distance. I like this trainer, Michael Moreni. He hasn't started many horses here, but he does a good job. He came here a couple of years ago and won like his first 6 races. Tyler Gaffalione, of course, in the saddle. That's where I went. How'd you see it?
Tyler's a great young rider, and I didn't really know this trainer, so that's good info for me. He has a decent percentage to start out with. I just love the 2-horse Honorable Daniel. He's had a couple of chances, but this horse really drops considerably and has some speed, which could be key. These kind of a little bit cheaper races when the horse can get out front and get a little bit brave. I thought he might be able to do that.
Yeah, these 5-furlong turf races, if you don't get that sharp break or get position really on, it could cost you later on. And as I mentioned, Abby rode for many, many years, so she knows what she's talking about as far as the other horse I used along with you was the 2 Honorable Daniel. Then I went to the inside with the number 1 Polka Scuttlebutt, who's cutting back to 5/8 of a mile after pressing the pace. Giving away late, got beat 2 lengths against this caliber competition going a mile. A little bit of a speed play there on the inside. Maybe this horse can get going and steal it. Juan labor in the saddle today.
Right, and Juan's certainly capable, and that horse looks like he'd lay up close. I like the 4 because I thought he'd be setting maybe just off that early pace or even pressing it, but not right jammed down on the rail. So I liked his chances with Edgar Zayas, who certainly did more than hold his own this winter.
Yeah, I mean, we had the top riding colony in the country, and he was right up there. I believe he finished in the top 10, so he did an excellent job. Let's go to race number 2 this afternoon. And this one is a 6-furlong claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 races in life. We have 6 runners in this field. I went, we got our exact sort of flip-flop in here.
We do.
I went with the 6 Lady Nura, expected to find more for the stretch run after following that 12-5 maiden score on February 24th. She comes back, she chases the pace, she fades a little bit, finishes 3rd at this level and distance. Talking about Edgar Zayas, Juan A. Rodriguez, sneaky good meet during the championship meet. So I put this one on top, but I can understand going with the number 3, Spectacular Sheeran.
And they were very close for me. Spectacular Sheeran, I just thought, well, this horse is due, maybe overdue. But, also has some kind of tactical speed, and I thought maybe could find the right spot and
Well, she actually finished second in front of Lady Nura last time out, but the problem I had is exactly what you mentioned. She's been stuck trying to get this second career victory, 13 races with that one win. So I flip-flopped them, but I think the two logical horses on the ticket are the 6, Lady Nura, and the 3, Spectacular Shurin. And we both used the number 4, Weight of Gold. What'd you see with that horse?
Well, Weight of Gold is also, dropping that little notch, well, a couple of notches really in class. And, Joe Orsino's certainly a capable trainer. He's, he's taken a lot of weight off this horse. So, it makes you a little, he's dropping the horse and taking all the weight. And that can be a great sign for a win. But it also can be, oh, gee, this horse is having some troubles and he's got to drop it in.
Yeah, and going from the turf to the dirt didn't show much in those 2 turf races on the turf. So go drop into a logical spot this afternoon. So we're basically in agreement in race number 2. What we'll do now is we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll show you my Rainbow 6. And remember, the Rainbow 6 starts today in race number 3. Welcome back to Gulfstream. Today, Ron Nicoletti along with Abby Fuller. And the third race today is where we start the Rainbow 6. And we mentioned at the top of the show, really nice carryover of $250,000 plus. And it's a 20-cent wager. We're going to quickly show you my ticket. Then we'll talk about the race in here. And I come up with a $43.20 ticket. I'm going 3 deep here, 3 deep. 3, 4, and then you see in race number 7, I'm taking a little bit of a shot. I got a single in there. We'll talk about that horse when we get there a little later on. And in 511, $43.20. See if I can nail this thing today. What a nice carryover in there. So before we get there, I want to show you a performance in number 7, Grand Bamboo last time out. And I want to ask you about this horse. This horse is coming off about an 11-month layoff. And this kid, Carlos Hernandez, a new jock, is on there, and he is motoring through the stretch. They went 22 and 1, 44 and 4. Is this the way he should have rode, or should he have saved something more for the stretch run? He's whipping and driving, and he just gets nailed at the wire.
Right, and a 7-pound bug, in my opinion, he made a mistake. I think he had no idea he went 44 and change and 57. And then there was nothing left in the tank. Pretty incredible race, really, for that horse coming off that just shy of a year layoff. Yeah, he looks like he should be tough, and we both picked him on top for that reason. And he's got a little time. He's not like he's jamming right back in 7 days.
And this kid has turned out to be a really nice rider. I love the way he looks in a horse. He won his, he had the 10-pound apprentice allowance. He won those races right away. He looks really good on a horse, so it wasn't his fault, like you said. Just going out there off an 11-minute layoff, he was just motoring through the stretch, and he just got nipped at the wire.
Sure, and the horse could have been super sharp coming off of that layoff. They sometimes are. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure he learned a lot from that lesson. That's how you learn when you're bugged.
Well, number 3, Help a Riot, does his best running from just off the pace. Going to sit the perfect trip behind what should be. I think there's going to be a mad scramble up in front. Their trainers are Ramon Maya, and he's got apprentice John Cruz in the saddle, who's also been riding in really good form. I like this kid, too.
And the one has speed, too, so you might be dead on about that mad scramble up front.
Yeah, and, the one Prague has speed, as you mentioned, the rail, but he tends to tire in the stretch, but he might just go out there and not look back in that race and see how it does. I got a stat I want to show you back on Grand Bamboo. Getting back to that horse as we got a little off course there. George Rivera, we're talking about a horse. A second start, look at this, second start off a layoff of low-level claimers. He's 20 for 56. He wins 36% of the time, 64% in the money, but only $1.86 ROI because they bet him all the time, and rightly so, because look at that win percentage.
That's a great win percentage. Those are the guys you like to ride for when you're a jock. Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Well, not me. I can't actually ride it, but I can understand the idea. Let's go to race number 4 this afternoon. We mentioned at the top of the show, this is where our final pick 5 of the day starts. Don't forget that with these 8 race cards, things scramble around. You got to get handicapping that Rainbow 6 early on. This one, 5 furlongs on the turf, They're maiden claimers. They're 3-year-olds and up, $12,500. Scratch the main track only participant in here. And we're going to start with you. You went with the number 3 horse in here, and that is Grand Lord.
Yeah, he has speed, and he's going to get to try the turf. And I thought maybe this horse will wake up on the turf. This trainer I noticed, I think he's just come in maybe from Fairgrounds. I know he was running some there. And it looks like he's dropping some horses in and wants to wake up here.
Yeah, and that 5 furlongs in a horse like that, a good pick on the ticket, and he's 4th choice on the morning line, so you're getting a little bit of a price. I did go with the horse that you have in second on top, and that's El Senor del Cielos, who was second on the turf at this distance against $16,000 maidens during February. Now goes back to the grass today. He faced some solid bottom-level claimers sprinting on the main track. Antonio Sano does a fantastic job. I think he won the last spring-summer meet or the last couple of meets here. Finds a perfect spot to send the sophomore back to the turf today.
Yeah, and that horse, again, he's got the speed to put him where he wants to put him, and that little bit of outer post, I don't think he'll get hung wide. There's a little bit of speed inside of him, but I think that horse is probably quick enough to get where he wants to get.
Well, the morning line favorite in here is the number 9, Cannot Stop, who you have in your ticket and I do, and he was 4th when sprinting on the grass against a little notch tougher, was back on March 5th. He's going back to the turf. He failed to handle the slop last time out.
Right.
Gustavo Delgado, Leonel Reyes handling the drop. He's dropping down. He didn't seem to like the off track. Does his better running on the turf. I could see this horse being the morning line favorite, or even the favorite when the smoke clears.
Absolutely, because they're just pretty much putting an X through that last race.
And you were sort of in agreement here, just our top pick.
Yep.
I also threw the 4 Brunello Music. There's another dropping to the bottom on the grass after facing better in the trio of 5 furlong turf sprints. The obvious concern for this son of Grand Slam is his lack of any early speed showing on his past performance lines. It just looks like he's one of those plodding types that's going to need everything to go his way to be on there. I think he's more of a pick for me on the exact or a trifecta ticket.
And I could see that horse, if the speed gets dueling up there, and they love that outside path there, sprinting anywhere on the turf here. They come down the outside. So.
Yeah, I mean, all the turf races you've ridden, all the 5 furlong turf races, people see 5 furlongs in the turf, especially here at Gulfstream at certain times. You need that speed, or a lot of times you see horses that do come from off the pace and win it because they get to sit that trip, so it's sort of a guessing game. You have to look who has speed, look who has the mid-race speed, and look who closes, and see which way it works out. It's not a given that every horse is going to the lead and win.
That's absolutely true, and I think people sometimes get tricked when they see 5/8 and they go, where's the speed?
Right.
And just look for the speed in there.
Yeah, and you sort of have to do that. And I always thought about that because when I first started handicapping, which was 1912, I think it seems like now, it was what I did. I saw 5/8 on the grass. I looked for the speed, and I said, this horse can't lose. He's the speed of the speed. And that is certainly not the case in that 4th race. So let's go to race number 5, 6 furlong maiden claimers, fillies and mares. 3-year-olds and up with $12,500. Couple of scratches in here. Number 3, Starship Maiden. Also scratched the number 11 in here, Little Jen W. And we went with the number 7, Prize Arch. 2 for 2 in the money at the distance on the main track, albeit a pair of 3rd place finishes. Drops to this level today, returns to sprinting on the dirt. He got bumped at the start. He failed to mount the bid and went 6, but that was 25 maidens going a mile in the 16th on the turf. Whole different ball game last time out.
Yeah, I just thought, this trainer, Ronnie Spatz, knows this horse needs a drop. He needed a change here, and I saw this horse maybe coming running. Obviously not going to have speed, doesn't really have speed even going long, so he's going to be looking for the late charge, but that might, we'll have to watch the track a little bit too, but I see that as being pretty effective against these horses.
You make a good point too. You have to, early on, this is already race 5, early in the day, you watch and see how the track is playing, whether it's the main track of the turf. Sometimes you just notice that the speed is doing exceptionally well on the main track and the same on the turf, or vice versa. They can, not be a speed day. I mean, traditionally, Gulfstream is going to favor horses that run on or near the lead. I used a horse in here that's 20 to 1 on the morning line, and I don't think this horse has done anything worse than anybody else in the race. That it should be 20 to 1, and that's number 8, Gotcha One. This one is cutting back to 3/4 of a mile. Bobbled at the start last time out, finished a distant third when Lasix was added going a mile. 20-1 on the line. I don't find him being that much of an outsider that you can't use this horse on your ticket.
No, I absolutely agree. And Tamara Levy, she does a good job with their horses. They're always, they're always well. They look well, and they tend to run well. So, yeah, I think she's finding an easier spot. And, yeah, I would not at all give this. Yeah, I wouldn't think he's 20-1 either.
Well, you used the 10 on your ticket. Tell us about that
Yes.
one, and that's Glotona again.
Latona again has speed. So I did like that for this kind of race. And a horse he's been there. He's been right close up, not getting his head handed to him. And I thought this horse could be effective, and another one that bumped start last time.
Yep.
And so, you don't always, you hope for a better trip.
Right, and last, the morning line favorite in here is the 13 horse that's on the outside, and I sort of like, I got to give this horse a pass today because of that post. I just thought there was a lot of speed to his inside and did not use him on the ticket, but I can understand people using him. Tyler Gaffney owns 7-2. If he can carve out that trip from outside there, I see you didn't use him on the ticket either.
No, it's funny. He was my fourth pick, but I grabbed a 20-1 in here too. The 2-horse Chi-Chi Girl.
Right.
I just thought, this horse has got to change everything here.
Right.
But I thought, okay, it's getting off the turf, and this was, the cool Coleman horse that I've not seen them be in love with the turf. So I thought, all right, let's give Chi-Chi Girl, just had a couple of starts, and that sometimes that wake up, I'm so glad to be off the grass because I didn't like it.
There you go. So a couple of different ways to go in here, a wide open event. So when you're putting your Rainbow Six ticket together, you might want to go a little deep in this stanza of it. It's also the second leg of the late pick 4. And like Abby and I said, we got a couple of 20-1 shots in there. I think we have the logical choice on top of the ticket, but this is one of the races where it can come up and grab you. We're going to go to race number 6 this afternoon, and this one is a 5-furlong turf event. Claim is 4 and up, $12,500. Scratch the main track only. Participant number 9, Bold Summit. I want to go back and show you the performance last time out of number 3, Great Attack in here. He was dropping a peg on the claimant. So you see this horse here gets the lead and gets, bumps with the winner at the 8th pole. And I just thought it might have, affected him in there. You see the number 2 in here and just gets, comes in and bumps there and, causes the 3 to go in. Didn't really keep a straight course in here. So I just wanted to go back and show that because the running line made you think that he got bumped, and it's not really. He did the bumping. So I put him on top of the ticket, John Toscano Jr., Tyler Gaffney in the saddle, and I think this one is the one to beat here. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the one I singled on my Rainbow Six ticket. I like this horse today.
And then, we're in agreement with those two. And this horse certainly has the speed to do what he wants to do out there. Tyler's done it. I love the way Tyler rides, and he does a great job whether he's on the lead or off the lead. So, and the turf. As well.
And number 5, Frankie Strigger is dropping a notch with the ideal closing style needed to capitalize. On paper, to me, it looks like a strong pace scenario up front. So here's one of those, what we were talking about a couple of races ago. You got the horses have speed in there, but this horse might end up sitting the trip and just coming from off the pace. And one thing you want to know, too, during the championship meet, we do not have a lot of horses running for $12,500 on the turf.
Right.
Of course, the conditions are a little different when we do the spring-summer meet. So some of these horses were up against it, and this is the level where they can really, really improve.
Absolutely. Their field now is much more evenly. Like you said, they were at least in 16 on the turf. So this little notch and the breather and company is going to help.
It's going to help them, and it's a new way to start your handicapping, thinking these horses are dropping down. The other horse I used in there was the 6, Tune Into Bow. If you look at this horse's record at this distance on the turf, 6 starts, 2 wins in the second, moved to the Maria Burrell bond via the claim, goes back to the grass after failing to earn a check. That was a couple of 6,250 claimers on the main track. Matt Rispoli will be in the saddle today. I just thought this horse is better, as the record says, on the turf course.
Sure. And I went with the 8 in here, Super See Me. I thought, well, he's a little bit of a price and also a speed horse and maybe hung out wide, but I thought if he breaks good and gets, if he's 3 wide, that's not a big deal on this turf course. And, so I gave him a shot in there.
Well, let's go to race number 7. This is the first half of the late daily double, 7.5 furlongs. It's an allowance optional claimer for 3-year-olds and upward. And the claiming level they run for is $25,000. And we do have a scratch in here of number 5, Union Bow. So we're going to have 8 runners in this field. And both you and I went with the 3, a bomb on top. This one is dropping to the $25,000 level. Returned from a freshen to finish third behind a solid group of $35,000 optional claimers going a mile and the 16th. It's a son of any given Saturday who has the tactical ability in here. I either think was set or stalk the pace. This one, when you have that kind of push button speed, it really bodes well, you know, because you don't have to go to the lead. You're not forced to go to the lead. Maybe you go if it's there or sit off it if it's not.
Yes, and that's a great advantage, and you know, the really nice kind of horse to have in this distance, 7.5. So so you don't want to be blazing out there, but you want to be able to.
And that's a good point. I mean, it's not quite a mile and everything like that, but these around here, it's 7.5 furlongs, there's 2 turns. So you sort of need, you know, you can't just have like a 5 furlong sprinter. May not be able to handle this distance.
Right. Yeah, and this horse, you know, again, another one, it's getting a little relief in class, and that's really so important.
Yeah, and I close it out. Whisper on the Wind is stepping up to this level after parlaying closing trips into back-to-back $16,000 turf victories at the distance. And talking about these levels we've been talking about, consistency is such an important angle to have in these levels. So this horse coming into this race, sort of a lateral move, but in good form. So I threw that one on the ticket.
Right. Yeah, and I like the 6. You know, Timmy Hill's a very capable trainer, and I thought this horse had the win in the one other than, kind of during the tough times, which I wasn't sure some of these horses would have been able to do. So so I liked him.
And he's a square price on the board of 5-1, so that's a good thing. Let's go to the final race on the Wednesday card, and this one is, as you mentioned, lots of turf races today.
Yes.
A mile and the 16th on the turf. Maiden claim is 3 and up, $12,500. We're going to scratch the AE in here, number 13, Acelerado. And once again, we're thinking alike. Awesome Sting. Drop it to this $12,500 level on the turf after hitting the board in one of 2 $35,000 maiden races going a mile on the main track. But here's sort of a stat I wanted to point out in here. The barn, as you know, Ralph Nix did a fantastic job with his 2-year-olds last summer. But if you look at him when he's doing this, he's only 3 for 30. He's a maiden claim. He's going from dirt to turf. Past 5 years. This is an excellent trainer. Do not get me wrong. But this particular angle, 3 for 30, 10%, 50% of money, but only $1 return of investment on your money. It's not one of the angles he does. That's not to say this horse can't win, and this is not, you know, a good spot for this horse because we both put it on top. But I figured we might as well people see that.
No, that's a really interesting stat. I think things like that are the things that I wouldn't necessarily see looking, and I think it's great to share that with the folks.
Yeah, you know, you think, well, you know, maybe, are we going to single the 5 Awesome Sting in the last race? But now you might say, I'll throw a couple of horses in there besides that. We both have the 11 on the ticket. You have it in third, I have it in second. It's Patty Ryan, stretching out to a mile today in the 16th. Rallied to finish second against 16 maidens going a mile on that firm course. Brendan Walsh, Eddie Castro atop, the son of Patty O'Prado.
Yeah, and Brendan Walsh had a kind of sneakily really good meet.
He did an excellent job. I cashed on him a couple of times, so I'm in agreement.
Well, yeah, the horses paid. That's a great point, that they paid well, too. They definitely were not chalky. This horse has a good strategic style of running, that he should be in a good spot where the rider wants to place him, and you know, Eddie Castro certainly capable.
Well, I also used the 7 in here. You went with the 6, but Table Talk is another drop into this level. Hitting the board of 1 of 2 turf outings against better. That was during January and February. Mark Hennick, Nick Juarez, his kid Nick Juarez, who came down from Baltimore. He was a good little rider. I like the way he rides, and I just thought this horse figures in this thing pretty square price on the board of 8-1.
Larry, it was funny. I had some folks up to visit Larry Comas while he was here. To do the announcer's booth visit. It was fantastic. And Larry said, watch this kid, Nick Juarez. I really like him. Well, he won that race, and the next 2 was the day that he won 3. And they were like, well, Larry really knows what he's talking about. I said, yeah. So great, great.
Well, Larry's my buddy. I don't know if he knows that much. I'm only kidding. I like teasing Larry. So we have 8 races on tap this afternoon. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Abby and I will be back throughout the afternoon trying to give you some useful insights. You got to pay attention because she's going to point out those horses that look really good in there. As I mentioned, she's been a horse person. Let's see, you're 30 years old for at least the last 15 years.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That's a good one.
Good luck, everybody. We'll be back in just a little
Good luck.
while.
Our day begins early, preparing for the task ahead. Focused,